Hey guys, KingRazzel here, and welcome back to another coming soon episode, this time for the Microsoft exclusive ReCore. As always, we're going to be talking about this game's story, gameplay, multiplayer, extras, and systems, before wrapping up with my overall thoughts about the title. But without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into this. The story of the game takes place on a planet called Far Eden, which is a planet that's far away from Earth. Your character, Joel Adams, is a technician who set out to Far Eden in order to make the planet ready for humanity after Earth encounters an undisclosed problem. Joel then goes to cryosleep for a couple hundred of years, expecting to wake up to a paradise on Far Eden, but instead wakes up to find that all the robots that she set up to build have instead gone crazy and are wreaking havoc on the still desolate planet. That's pretty much all we know about the story thus far outside of the characters. At present, we know of three quote-unquote core personalities, or cores that inhabit your robot companions. The first of whom is Mac, the happy, cheerful, adventurous blue core, Seth, the yellow core that's scared of everything, and finally Duncan, who is the tough guy red core. Each core has a personality, and this will affect how they behave in the game. The gameplay is a third-person shooter mixed with RPG elements as well as some platforming segments. First, let's talk about the shooting mechanics. The game appears to be your standard third-person shooter, with you behind the helm of Joel at all times. From what I've seen, it seems that Joel will only ever have one weapon, with that weapon being an energy rifle. However, this weapon will have various ammunition types and different fire modes. It appears to also have a charge shot mechanic to which you can either fire a smaller shot stream, or you can charge your shot for more damage. Also, from what I've seen, I'm assuming that the 4 ammunition types are demonstrated in the bottom left by the D-pad looking thing that you can see down there. The colors also match up with your various partners, so I'm assuming that the ammunition types will be based off abilities that your partners bring to it, with white being the default fire mode. Next, let's talk about your companions. As I stated, you will be able to pick from 3, Max, Seth, and Duncan. Max seems to be closely associated with the dog robot, however, from how I understand it, you are not forced to put him into that frame, as we can see in the original trailer. His is also the only lethal attack I believe that's been discussed, and it's an electric dash. All the cores will have abilities, however, and they will become more effective as they are leveled up. The second core is Seth, and as stated, he is a wimp, and that's why I believe we see him mainly as the spider. This frame allows him to stay out of reach of the enemies and take potshots at them. And finally, we have Duncan, whom we know very little about, but we've mainly seen him in the big brutish frame, which seems to match his personality perfectly. From what we've seen from promotional art, there will be at least 3 more frames available to your robot core friends, and it can be assumed that each of the cores will have varying success based on the frames that you give them. For instance, Seth, the scaredy core, probably wouldn't do well with the bulky robot frame because he wouldn't be able to get into the fight. It also seems that you can switch between robot cores at any time during the game, however, you can only have one active at any time. Platforming is also an aspect of the gameplay that we've seen, such as this clip, where Seth carries Joel on specifically laid out tracks, or this clip, showing off Joel's ability to double jump as well as dash. This just seems to be a way of environmental transversal, but I thought it looks cool, so I thought I'd mention it. Finally, let's talk about the RPG elements that we see. We know that there's going to be a leveling system in the game, and we can see Joel leveling up in certain demos. From what we know, the game's leveling system will affect Joel by making her energy rifle stronger, and affect the robots by increasing their frame-based statistics as well as their lethal attacks. Each character seems to level up independently, so the more you use a core partner, I'd assume the stronger that partner will be. Frames will also be able to be upgraded by fusing them with cores of enemy robots, pulling the enemy cores out and extracting them with the extractor, which resembles a grappling hook. I've not really seen much about multiplayer in this game, no real mention of it other than this small clip.
Yeah, if you love fighting evil robots, exploring mysterious desert worlds with your friends, ReCore's a good game.
Sign me up. So you play.
But I've come to think that he's referring to friends as your robotic companions, since I've seen no other mention about co-op. For extras, I don't really have anything other than I find it funny that Armature Studios and Concept are the 2 developers that are working on this title. Armature was founded by people who worked on Metroid Prime 3 for the GameCube back in the day, which featured a charge shot, and Concept was founded by Keiji Inafune, who is known for Mega Man, which also later featured a charge shot, and now these 2 studios are working together on a game that features a charge shot. I don't know, I just find that funny. For systems, this game will be an Xbox One and Windows 10 exclusive, and it will be released in North America and Australia on September 13th, as well as in Japan on the 15th, and finally in Europe on the 16th. As for my own thoughts on the game, I think this game looks very interesting. During its initial announcement at E3 2015, I didn't really think this game looked very good. I thought it was going to try to be an emotional story about a girl and her robot dog, and it just didn't really look appealing to me. However, when they did show it off again at this year's past E3, the game looked a lot more interesting when they showed off some of the gameplay. Combat looks fast-paced, and platforming aspect of it with the double jumps and the dashes is just something that I always enjoy in games. However, there are a few red flags that can be thrown up if you're looking into this game. First of all, there is very limited footage out right now for the game. This is always a big red flag for me because typically it means that either the game offers very little variation, so seeing more gameplay of it would just look the same, and it probably is just very repetitive, or this is a very short game and it offers very little in terms of longevity. Those are two things that could be why they don't show much coverage of it. The last time that I ran into not finding much footage for a game for a coming soon episode was for Tony Hawk Pro Skater 5 episode, and by general consensus, that game was a flop, so, you know, it's a red flag for me. The second red flag is that this game is being made by Concept, and they just had a huge blowback with their most recent game, Mighty No. 9, so of course it's only natural to be wary of them. And finally, an albeit unimportant red flag is that the game is launching at $40. Now, like I said, this doesn't really mean anything, and it's just a question of why the lowered price point, pretty much. But Ratchet & Clank did just come out for $40, and it was an awesome game, so it's not really a huge issue. Personally, however, I will be getting this game at launch. I've been looking forward to this one since this last year's E3, and even though I've got some red flags on it, I still want to try the game out and see what I get out of it. Alright guys, so that is pretty much all that I found out about the game. Not all of it was the best news, but like I said, I'm still interested in the game and I will be picking it up at launch. If you guys are a little bit more leery than I am, you can always check back on my channel when the game comes out next month, and I will be doing a review for the game shortly after its release, and I've had time to complete it, so if you're interested in that, then be sure to stay tuned. The next coming soon episode that I plan on doing will probably be for Paper Mario Color Splash, which is another game that I'm interested in but know very little about, and I believe that game comes out on October the 7th, so the coming soon episode would come out on September the 7th. But anyways, guys, I want to thank you all for watching this. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I hope to see you all in my next video.